said is for years, they would go to something,
Right.
they would say, oh, now I understand, that feels better, and leave.
Right.
And then they wouldn't do anything until the next crisis.
Right.
Or they'd go to Al-Anon, and they'd sit with Al-Anon for a long time, but they weren't learning about the disease in Al-Anon.
Right.
And so they said, you know, we wish we really understood what we were learning about. So they wrote a 3-session family education program that the first session is talking about the disease because people wonder, is this really what I'm dealing with?
Right.
And so there's a questionnaire there, and it's a very interactive program. That they say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, or no, I'm not dealing with this.
Right.
So they spend time doing that. The second session is all about enabling and your role as a family member and what happens to families
Right.
When addiction is present. And the third is, what am I going to do about it?
Right.
And so the third is, what are the resources in the community? What about intervention? What do we know about intervention? Dispelling the myths about intervention and the possibilities of intervention. We also then have a 4th session that is for families who might want to pursue an intervention, a formal kind of intervention,
Right.
that they can explore it and decide, is this something they want to do? But all through it, they're matched with a mentor
Right.
who can then, one of the things they need to do is go to an Al-Anon meeting or a Nar-Anon meeting or something, and then come back and report on it. That's their homework for the week. Each week they have homework that they need to do. So that runs in all 5 counties of Southeast Pennsylvania every single month. One of the biggest values is that it's many families coming together.
Yes.
And so they get to learn the value of peer-to-peer work. And it's like, wow, there's another family who's experiencing the same thing.
Yes.
So that goes on throughout the whole Delaware Valley all the time. So that's one of the major things that Educating the Community did. But they've done lots of series. They developed some consumer guides. One of the consumer guides is for medication-assisted recovery. One is about sober housing, how to choose safe and sober housing. One is how to enact your insurance rights.
Right.
So these are consumer guides. Once again, we were trying to parallel this with other diseases.
Yes. Yes.
So the next committee is one called Public Policy.
Right.
And they have done all kinds of testifying before federal and state and local legislators. They go and visit their legislators, they visit city council. We do some training of them. There's a voter registration initiative.
Yes.
There's a report card for legislators that we're part of, and going and asking for, I just sent Joe Sestek's letter yesterday. Yeah. He didn't win. But you know, we ask them for feedback and give a report card on different legislators and stuff. And so they also do, if there's a particular issue. Last year there was some major funding issues. People go out and visit all their legislators and all to talk about it, but it's people in recovery who are doing that as opposed to providers and all of that come from that perspective. We do a message and media training on how to tell your story from a recovery perspective instead of from a what the media is used to hearing. It's not sensationalizing it. So it's really to turn around attitudes. And some research was done in the country. I don't know if you've had any interaction with Faces and Voices.
No, I will.
Well, you need to. They have done a lot of research around how to change, reduce stigma, and what are important messages to come out. So the message in media is a thing, and there's a video. We have the video.
Yes, I believe we do. Yes.
Yeah, we have a video on message in media.
Right.
Yes. The third committee is celebration recreation. And some of it is the walk, we do the baseball game, but we also do, you heard them talking about Fun Fridays.
Oh, yes.
You know, what do you do in recovery if your entire social life was around addiction? You know, so it's to teach people skills on how to, and experience fun without drugs and alcohol. And also to learn how to socialize and how to have friends that are good friends. So there's activities that happen here every week, and at all of our centers. We have 3 centers, so every week there are things that happen in all of the centers. The next committee is the Amends in Action, And for some people, Amends in Action is a way to concretely make their amends.
Right.
Because they can't make their amends for a variety of reasons, but also it was to put a very positive face on recovery. So, for instance, this year for Martin Luther King Day, our Amends in Action Committee is taking on Martin Luther King holiday. And they're going to be cleaning up the road between Broad Street and here, and be very visible with recovery. But as a way to have their Amends in Action Committee seeing that the recovery community really does want to pay back and have some positive things. They have cleaned up parks, they have built for Habitat, they have done suitcases for recovery. We've done Manna, which is a food bank for people who wouldn't otherwise get food. So there are all kinds of projects. One of them was to give kids who are in the foster care system suitcases to carry their clothes from one place to another, instead of plastic bags, to give them some dignity, and that grew into people putting teddy bears in them and then putting notes in them. And you know, we have a picture that's a mountain of suitcases that the recovery community gives at whatever level they can, and so lots of them had suitcases to give us, so that was fun. They then finally told us in Southeast Pennsylvania to stop the suitcases. We had so many suitcases. We had a half a trailer full of tractor trailer filled with suitcases. That you know, we put the word out, and boy did they respond. So that's part of this Amends in Action. We also have recovery support services, which are the 3 centers, but also we do some community-based recovery support services where people are matched with recovery coaches when there isn't a center. We've done a whole variety of models of how to do that when a center's not in the community, of activities and things that you can do so that people have the recovery support services before you have the finances to set up a center, before you're doing that. So we have a whole variety of those things. We also now have a Veterans Helping Veterans Committee, which is our 6th committee. And that's people who really want to help veterans who, many of them have, because of their addiction, may have lost their veterans benefits, may have had a discharge that doesn't earn them benefits anymore, or many of the homeless are veterans who have had addiction problems. There's also the whole PTSD things and the brain injury here that we're seeing much more of. So we have a group of people in recovery who are also veterans or who have some real concerns about veterans, and are doing a variety of things under that kind of committee that wants to work together. What we found is that it provides a place for people. We had people who wanted to do one-on-one work. It was an extension of their service work that they had done in their recovery, whatever self-help or mutual aid committee they were part of, or that they were part of. We also had people that didn't want to do that anymore. I mean, you know, that they fulfilled by being a sponsor or whatever, they did that, but they were willing to get involved at some other level. So the Amends in Action was our easiest thing to recruit people for. People they'd love to go out and clean up a park. Or remember when we were doing Habitat? Habitat said to us, you know, can we have more of your people? I mean, they're really good at this, you know. And, you know, we've got 4 houses that we want done, and you know, your guys really do a great job. And it was a wonderful way for families to be able to work together without a lot of adversity going on, and to feel like they were accomplishing something for a community. So it really was a healing process also that we do with that.